federal court. And so now it's, who knows what's going to happen. Is he going to refile it? Is he going to reinstitute the charges in another jurisdiction? Is he going to do what he should have done years ago and do a serious investigation? Is he going to investigate himself over the obstruction that he's been accused of doing by the IRS whistleblowers? You all know how that's going to work. So, not trusting the Justice Department for many of the reasons I just stated, Judicial Watch does its own investigations as to what went on with the cover-up for Hunter Biden and the government agencies involved. And one of the government agencies who has been credibly tied to election interference to help Joe Biden and hurt President Trump is the Central Intelligence Agency. You may recall those 51 Intel officials or former Intel officials who signed that letter suggesting you just ignore the Hunter Biden laptop revelations because they were likely Russia disinformation. A letter that was organized by the Biden campaign and Anthony Blinken, it turns out. Well, the CIA had a hand in getting that out, and we've sued for records about it. We filed a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit against the CIA for all communications of the spy agency's pre-publication classification review board regarding an October 19th, 2020 email request to review and clear a letter signed by 51 former intelligence community officials characterizing the Hunter Biden laptop story as having all the hallmarks of a Russia disinformation campaign. And that was just bunk. In October 2020, in the run-up to the presidential election, the New York Post reported that Hunter Biden's laptop, which was abandoned at a Delaware computer shop, contained embarrassing and potentially incriminating information about the Biden family. In a May 10, 2023 report, the House Judiciary Committee revealed that on October 19, 2020, 3 days before the second presidential debate between President Donald Trump and then Democratic candidate Joe Biden, then acting CIA Director Michael Morrell sent the PCRB, this pre-publication review board, the finalized letter for review, calling it a rush job, and quickly secured its approval. So typically when national security officials who still maintain security clearances comment on matters of national security or want to write something, they're supposed to run it by the agencies, I think, that granted them the clearance. I think. But generally speaking, they need permission from someone, especially if it's going to touch on potentially classified analyses. Because just them blessing a fact or an analysis suggests that there's an intelligence community assessment that agrees with it, which would be kind of a backdoor way to exposing classified information. So are you getting that? I mean, so if you have a national security clearance, your commentary on public affairs and intelligence matters take on added weight because the assumption is you have access to classified information that informs it. So you got to be careful of what you say. And you abuse the trust when you say political things because everyone assumes that you know what you're talking about when in fact you're just making it up and abusing the security clearances that we've given to you as the American people. Specifically the president in that case. Judicial Watch filed the lawsuit after the CIA failed to respond to our May request for it. And I think we filed the lawsuit. We just issued the release recently, but we filed the lawsuit back in June. We asked for records and communications of that review board, the CIA and the CIA, including emails, email chains, email attachments, text messages, cables, voice recordings, correspondence, statement, letters, memoranda, reports, presentations, notes, or other form of record regarding that email request to review and clear the letter involving the Hunter Biden laptop, potentially having Russia involvement or being a Russia disinformation plot. Now, Jim Jordan in May and the head of the Intelligence Committee, Michael Turner, on the House side, stated that committees were conducting an oversight of the October 20th public statement on the Hunter Biden emails signed by 51 former intelligence community officials. And of course, that's the letter, that was the thing that got approved by the CIA quickly. The CIA has documents responsive to our request and necessary to our oversight. On October 19th, 2020, Morrell submitted the statement to the CIA's Pre-Publication Classification Review Board, instructing it was a rush job as it needs to get out as soon as possible. The staff responded at 7:11 a.m. that it received the statement and cleared it for publication at 12:44 on the same day, which is a world indoor record if you're seeking classification approval or approval by classification authorities from the government. Morrell speculated that the quick turnaround from the review board was because, quote, they are probably afraid I'm coming back as CIA director. So they were afraid of the boss. On May 9, 2023, the CIA produced to the committees 2 emails, Morrell's email to the PCRB early on October 19, 2023, and the PCRB's response at 12:24. However, the committees have reason to believe additional documents remain in the possession of the CIA. The committees have received evidence that the CIA, or at least an employee of the CIA, may have helped to solicit signatories for the statement about Hunter Biden. According to a former CIA employee, he spoke with the review board on October 20th regarding the review of his memoir, and during that call, a CIA employee asked him if he would sign the statement. So there's a guy calling the review board, hey, I need you to review my book. So I said, hey, will you sign this statement essentially attacking Trump and protecting Joe? Government employee at the CIA. As this CIA employee who was seeking the review for his book explained, when the person in charge of reviewing the book called to say it was approved with no changes, I was told about the draft letter. The person asked me if I would be willing to sign. After hearing the letter's contents and the qualifiers in it, such as, we want to emphasize that we do not know if the emails provided to the New York Post by President Trump's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, are genuine or not, and that we do not have evidence of Russian involvement, I agreed to sign. If accurate, the committee goes on to say, the committee leaders, this information raises fundamental concerns about the role of the CIA in helping to falsely discredit allegations about the Biden family in the weeks before the 2020 presidential election. They asked someone else about what this testimony showed, and he said, this to me is something that the review board, in my experience, would never engage in something like that. They were just straightforward back and forth terms of approval. The idea that they would have a comment on any other thing that they were working on, that to me is not even close to what I've experienced with them. Does that concern you? He was asked by the committee. It's all true. If it's true, it concerns me. It would be a concern for me, but sure. But I just have a hard time believing that occurred. If it did, that's incredibly unprofessional. I think it's more than unprofessional. And as I said earlier, it was the Biden campaign that was behind this letter. So this wasn't national security officials being serious. No, this was a campaign stunt to help Joe have a talking point during the debate and provide the media and, frankly, their social media allies an excuse to censor information that would hurt Joe Biden on the eve of the campaign. And I tell you, election rigging doesn't just include stealing votes or stuffing ballot boxes. It also includes unlawfully or illicitly hiding information about one candidate in a run-up to a campaign. You can rig an election by doing that. The deep state CIA, it seems, engaged in election interference, as I said, and a political operation against the American people. All to help Joe Biden and to hurt Trump. And now the CIA is ignoring FOIA law to cover up its role in the scandal, censoring and suppressing the Hunter Biden, Joe Biden laptop story just before the presidential election. Boy, oh boy. And so Congress is interested. They think there's something here. I don't know what they've done on it. I don't think they've issued a subpoena yet to the CIA, but we've issued a lawsuit, or the court's issued, or it's moved the lawsuit forward for this document, or documents about what the CIA was doing with these 51 intel officials, and were they pushing this effort to intervene in the election to help Joe Biden.